Okay, today's lesson is part 2 of the 8th grade 1.5 out of the Blue Big Ideas book. The units or the objective that we'll be doing today is students will convert between customary and US units. More specifically, they're going to be converting in area and volume. The standards covered in this lesson are AE 5. The book page numbers are 32 through 37 out of the hardcover book and page 24 out of the practice journal. Converting units of area. When solving units of area, you must square the conversion. So we're going to go ahead and work with our conversions like we have before. We're still going to use the conversions that we know and understand, but instead of just working with those numbers, we're actually going to square the numbers. So for example, when I look at this sample, I have 20 inches squared equals how many feet squared. So normally when I'm thinking of feet to inches, well, I know that 1 foot, so I'm going to match labels. 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Okay, so now when I go through to do this, because we are working squared and we're working area, we're actually going to square the numbers that we're working with in our conversion. So when I do 12 squared, that's going to give me 144. So I'm going to change this to 144 inches here. And 1 squared is still just going to stay 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. Now I get to go back to doing what I was doing yesterday, and I'm going to cross multiply divide. So 1 times 20 is going to give me 20, and this sample we're actually going to end up with a really small number. So then 20 divided by 144 is going to give me 0.138 repeating. So we'll just go ahead and write it out like this. Okay, so 20 inches squared is the same as 0.138 feet squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. Like I said, the new step today is because we're working squared, we're going to square our conversions. Okay, so here I have 360 inches squared into feet squared. So my conversion, well, 12 inches equals 1 foot. Okay, because we're doing area squared, we're going to square our numbers in our conversion before we write them into our comparison ratio or our proportion. So 12 squared is 144, and 1 squared is 1. So now I'll cross multiply divide. So 1 times 360 is 360, divided by 144 gives me 2.5 feet. So 360 inches squared is the same as 2.5 feet squared. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, so this time we're doing 3 feet squared into inches squared. So our conversion, well, 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Okay, so because we're doing area, we're going to square our numbers. So now when I rewrite those, well, 1 squared is still 1 foot, and 12 squared is 144 inches. And now we're going to cross multiply divide. So 144 times 3 gives me 432 divided by 1 is still 432 inches squared. Okay, so that's our final answer. So I'm going to go ahead and put another one up here, and I'll write the conversion, but I'm going to have you go through and solve it. So once I get the conversion written, you can pause your video and work your way through that. So here we've got feet into yards. So our conversion, well, 3 feet equals 1 yard. So you're going to go ahead and work because you're working squared. Go ahead and work your way through this one, setting up your new units and setting it up as a proportion. Go ahead and pause your video and work your way through that. Okay, when you work through this, you should have gotten approximately 5.5 yards squared. Okay, so that's working with area. So now we're going to go ahead and practice some of these with converting units of volume. So we're going to use the same concept, only this time instead of squaring our conversion units, we're going to go ahead and cube them. So it's the same process, but instead of doing 12 squared, we would do 12 to the third power. So here, our normal conversion, we're going from inches to feet. So normally there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, so because we're working with cubed, we're working volume, we're going to go ahead and cube our conversion. So we're going to cube these numbers. So 12 cubed, well, 12 times 12 times 12, and some of you might have the exponent button or the cubed button on your calculator. You get 1,728. So since my inches was here, 1,728 is going to go here because that was inches. And then 1 to the third power, 1 times 1 times 1 is still 1. And now we'll cross multiply divide. So 1 times 4,320 is 4,320 divided by 1,728. When we do that, we get 2.5 feet cubed. Okay, so let's try another one of those. So it's the same concept as area, only this time it's cubing it because we're working volume. Okay, so we have 5 yards cubed converted into feet cubed. So let's see our conversion. 1 yard equals 3 feet. Here's my visual cue. I'm working cubed, so I'm going to cube my conversion. So I'm going to cube this. Okay, and then I'm going to set it up like I have on all of my other conversions and proportions. So 1 cubed, my yards is going to go here, so is going to go on this one. So 1 times 1 times 1 is still 1 yard. And my 3 feet, 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27 feet. Now we'll cross multiply divide. So 27 times 5 gives us 135. Then we would divide by 1, which is still going to give us 135 feet cubed for our answer. Okay, so I'm going to slide one more out, and you guys are going to go ahead after I write the conversion. You can pause your video and work your way through that conversion. Whoops. Okay, so we have 2 feet to inches. So 1 foot equals 12 inches. Make sure you're matching units. So go ahead and pause your video and work your way through this, just remembering that you are working in volume. So that's your visual cue as to what you need to do. So you should have gotten 2 feet equals 2 feet cubed equals 3,456 inches cubed. Okay, so that's working in the US system. If you were to convert between US and metric, it would be the same concept. You would go ahead and square or cube your conversions. If you are strictly working metric to metric, because we have worked in the process of just moving the decimal instead of having to memorize all of the different conversions, the rule that you're going to use on this one is whatever you would do for area, because of that 2, you're going to do it twice. So you would do it again. For volume, because of that little cubed or that 3, whatever you would do, you'll do 3 times. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice this concept. So if I look at this first one, before when we would convert meters to centimeters, we would go ahead and go meters to centimeters, and we would count how many places we'd have to move our decimal and in what direction. So meters, we would go 1, 2 places to the right. So because we are working with this squared or this 2, whatever we would do that twice. So originally this is what I had. My decimal sitting there since it's not shown. I already said I'm going to go 2 places. So 1, 2. There's my first set. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2. There's my second set for my squared. Okay, so now I'm going to put zeros where I have those bumps. Okay, so now when I look at this, 30 meters squared is the same as 300,000 centimeters squared. And I'm just trying to explain to you how to do this based on the way that we have learned how to convert US to metric. If you want to work with the actual well, there's 100 centimeters in a meter, you can do that process too. And then you go ahead and you work off of just like we did in the US to US by squaring that conversion. To me, I like to move the decimals, and I know everything's based on 10, so that's why I choose to just go ahead and use this method. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, that little squared is indicating to us how many times we have to do our little conversion. So here I'm doing hectometers. That's what I started with, to meters, to meters. So normally I would go 1, 2 places to the right. So my decimal currently is here, and I'm gonna go 2 places, 1, 2. Now because we're working with this squared, I'm gonna do that again. So that was my first set. I'm gonna do that again, 1, 2. That's my second set. So I'm gonna put zeros where these bumps are, like those empty spaces. So I just found out that 0.5 hectometers is the same as 5,000, sorry, hectometers squared is the same as 5,000 meters squared. Okay. All right, so I want you to pause the video and try this one. So go ahead and pause your video, give yourself a chance to work through this one, and then check back. Okay, when you did this one, you should have ended up with 0.003 meters squared. All right, so now let's work volume. So same concept, we're gonna get to do the same thing, only if you notice on volume, we have a 3. Okay, so that means we're gonna do each of our moves 3 times. So here we're gonna go from hectometers, which was stated first, into meters, which was second. So normally I would do 1, 2 places to the right. We're gonna do that same concept, only we're gonna do that 3 sets. Okay, so 0.5 is what I normally had. And I said I'm gonna go 2 places to the right. So there's my first set, go 2 again. There's my second set, and go 2 again, 1, 2. There's my third set for my cubed. Okay, so now I'm gonna put zeros where those bumps are. Throw my comma in. So I just found out that 0.5 hectometers is the same as 500,000. Sorry, hectometers cubed is the same as 500,000 meters cubed. Okay, so let's try another one. And then I'll have you do one on your own. Okay, so this time we're doing millimeters to meters. So I'm starting at millimeters, and I'm going to meters. I always circle what I start with and underline what I am going to. It's just a visual cue for me. Okay, so I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 places to the left. Okay, so I'm gonna do that 3 separate times. So right now, this is what I have. Okay, so my decimal's not shown, it means it's here. So I just said I was gonna go 3 places to the left. So 1, 2, 3. So there's my first set. I'm gonna do that again. 1, 2, 3. There's my second set. And 1, 2, 3. There's my third set. Now, wherever I have those little bumps, I'm gonna put zeros. So there's a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. My decimal's now sitting here. So I can now cross these ones off. The ones behind a decimal are just extra zeros. So my final answer to 3,000 millimeters cubed is the same as 0.000453. So 0.000003 meters cubed. So you ended up with 5 zeros between your decimal and your 3. Okay, so I'm gonna pull one out here and have you guys try it. Remember that little exponent is a signal that you have to do something different when you're converting. Okay, so go ahead and work through 30 meters cubed to centimeters cubed. So here's your visual cue. Go ahead and pause your video, go through this one, and then check your answer in just a minute. Okay, you should have ended up 30 meters cubed is the same as 30 million centimeters cubed. Okay, so that's it for this part of the lesson. I did choose to go ahead and put our units conversions of rates as a separate video, so you can check on that. It'll be a part 3 of 1.5. Good luck on this, guys.